Test, test.
Give it a second. Family, can you turn your Bibles to Exodus chapter 23? This will be brief real quick.
Leviticus?
Huh? Exodus 23. First and foremost, I want to give honor and praise to the Most High for allowing us to have the opportunity to come together spiritually, edified in this law. I am Bahashem Yasha. Hiya Bahashem Yasha. I'm Elder Ma'ad, this is Brother Rook, Waking High of the Church. Everybody good? Okay, now we'll keep y'all along today. So today we're gonna go over chapter 23 in Exodus concerning his law. And also what I would like to do, have a Q&A session. So anyone that had any questions from last Sabbath class or just in general, please, now's the time to ask. Please, now is the time to ask. Okay? Let me reiterate that question. That comment. How you doing? Good, Mom. Well, I just stated, 20. Well, I just stated I want you to take heed to it, okay? Today, are you going back outside? Okay.
Yeah.
Check her right here.
That was the login screen.
Okay, you just walked in and I made this statement. I want to reiterate it. Today, after this chapter that we're going to go through, we're having a Q&A session. Any questions that you have concerning the last week's class or any other question in general, please ask the question. Let's go over it, okay? Promise? Okay. Exodus chapter 23, verse 1. I think last time before we did the dietary laws last week, we stopped at chapter 22. We're picking up on in chapter 23 in Exodus. Let's get it. So for those who don't know, this is our law class. This is not our normal Sabbath lesson, of course. Today is the day that we go over the Most High's law and get understanding, knowledge and understanding of it. Let's get it.
Exodus chapter 23, verse 1. Thou shalt not raise a false report.
So, thou shalt not raise a false report, right? I want to read something else to y'all concerning that. I was discussing this a couple of days ago. Now, read again, brother.
Thou shalt not raise a false report.
That's a commandment. But I want to go a little deeper into it. Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 15. Write this down, y'all. And really take heed to it. It says, thou shalt not raise a false report, right? Deuteronomy 19, verse 15 says, one witness shall not raise up against a man for any iniquity or for any sin, in any sin that he sinneth, at the mouth of 2 witnesses or at the mouth of 3 witnesses shall the matter be established. Do you understand it? What is it saying? Yes.
It's just basically saying, because it's like he say, she say.
Exactly.
It's just me, it's your opinion, or, you're against me.
Mhm.
We need two people to make sure so it can stand.
Man. I think let me give you. That brought something to my attention. Might be a longer class, y'all. I don't know.
I was about to say, okay. No, it don't matter.
I ain't trying to rush nobody. Sure.
We don't understand that. My youngest child, 23. I don't know.
She just said, "You can understand."
I'm gonna read y'all a story. I'm gonna quote it for the sake of time. I think it was the sister Judith. Who's the sister that, anyone here know who the sister that when the two witnesses lied against her, tried to rape her?
Savannah, the Nova,
There. Yep. Wow. See what reading do for you. The history of Susanna out of the Apocrypha, right? I don't want to read the whole story, but I want to start. Let's get it. We're going to get it.
Where's that?
The history of Susanna. Yes. Wrap the Baruch in Three Holy Men. Well, your book could be page 190 in the Apocrypha.
109.
Let's get it.
The history of Susanna, chapter 1, verse 1. There dwelt a man in Babylon called Joachim, and he took a wife, whose name was Susanna, the daughter of Chelcias, a very fair woman.
When they say very fair woman, that means very beautiful woman. That means she was light-skinned. Okay. Let's get it.
And one that feared the Most High. Her parents also were righteous, and taught their daughter according to the law of Moses. Now Joachim was a great rich man, and had a fair garden joining unto his house. And to him resorted the Jews, because he was more honorable than all others. The same year were appointed 2 of the ancient of the people to be judges, such as the Most High spake of, that wickedness came from Babylon from ancient judges, who seemed to govern the people. These kept much at Joachim's house, and all that had any suit in law came unto them. Now, when the people departed away at noon, Susanna went into her husband's garden to walk, and the 2 elders saw her going in every day and walking, so that their lust was inflamed toward her. And they perverted their own mind, and turned away their eyes, that they might not look unto heaven, nor remember just judgments. And albeit they were both wounded for her with her love, yet durst not one show another his grief. For they were ashamed to declare their lust, that they desired to have to do with her. Yet they watched diligently from day to day to see her. And the one said to the other, Let us now go home, for it is dinner time. So when they were gone out, they parted, the one from the other. And turning back again, they came to the same place. And after that they had asked one another the cause, they acknowledged their lusts. They appointed a time both together.
Then appointed they.
Then appointed they a time both together, when they might find her alone. And it fell out, as they watched a fit time, she went in as before with 2 maids only, and she was desirous to wash herself in the garden, for it was hot. And there was nobody there save the 2 elders, that had hid themselves and watched her. Then she said to her maids, Bring me oil and washing balls, and shut the garden doors, that I may wash me.
I want to add something to that too. This is what the Messiah was talking about. When he looked upon another man's wife, he said that you have committed adultery already.
Mm-hmm.
They have plotted
Yeah.
to do this sin. Okay. It started with a visual. Then it led to a thought. We said that sin, when the seed of sin is planted, it germinates. You know what I'm saying? So let's get it.
Verse 18. And they did as she bade them, and shut the garden doors, and went out themselves at privy doors to fetch the things that she had commanded them. But they saw not the elders, because they were hid. Now, when the maids were gone forth, the 2 elders rose up and ran unto her, saying, Behold, the garden doors are shut, that no man can see us, and we are in love with thee. Therefore consent unto us, and lie with us. If thou wilt not, we will bear witness against thee, that a young man was with thee, and therefore thou didst send away thy maids from thee. Then Susanna sighed, and said, I am straitened on every side, for if I do this thing, it is death unto me, and if I do it not, I cannot escape your hands. It is better for me to fall into your hands, and not do it, than to sin in the sight of the Most High. With that, Susanna cried with a loud voice, and the 2 elders cried out against her.
This is also why the Messiah, Yahshua, demands us to be faithful even to death. And last time we did a lesson, went over some great examples of some righteous, holy people who was faithful and righteous into death. So just because death is at the door does not mean that's an excuse to compromise and sin. He said, I'd rather, let you kill me than to sin before my God. That's the same mentality that we must carry on. Read. Okay.
Verse 26. So like the verse, let me start at 24. Verse 24. With that, Susanna cried with a loud voice, and the two elders cried out against her. Then ran the one and opened the garden door. So when the servants of the house heard the cry in the garden, they rushed in at a privy door, to see what was done unto her. But when the elders had declared their matter, the servants were greatly ashamed. For there was never such a report made of Susanna. And it came to pass the next day, when the people were assembled to her husband Joachim, the two elders came also, full of mischievous imaginations against Susanna, to put her to death, and said before the people, Send for Susanna, the daughter of Chelcias, Joachim's wife. And so they sent.
Like, do y'all understand why the Most High saying, thou should not raise a false report? Because of pride. These men were willing to let this daughter of Zion be destroyed. Innocent. A false report leads to death. I mean, they knew they was wrong in line because they can have it, so I guess it's better for her to die. You know, to be killed. Yeah, they said
Make them look like maniacs.
exactly to make them look bad. Read.
Verse 30. So she came with her father and mother, her children, and all her kindred. Now Susanna was a very delicate woman, and beauteous to behold. And these wicked men commanded to uncover her face, for she was covered, that they might be filled with her beauty. Therefore her friends and all that saw her wept. Then the two elders stood up in the midst of the people, and laid their hands upon her head. And she, weeping, looked up toward heaven, for her heart trusted in the Most High. And the elders said, As we walked in the garden alone, this woman came in with two maids, and shut the garden doors, and sent the maids away. Then a young man, who was hid, came unto her, and lay with her. Then we that stood in the corner of the garden, seeing this wickedness, ran unto them. And when we saw them together, the man we could not hold, for he was stronger than we, and opened the door and leaped out. But having taken this woman, we asked who the young man was, but she would not tell us. These things do we testify. Then the assembly believed them, and those that were the elders and judges of the people. So they condemned her to death. Then Susanna cried out with a loud voice and said, O everlasting God, that knowest the secrets, and knowest all things before they be, thou knowest that they have borne false witness against me, and behold, I once died, whereas I never did such things as these men have maliciously invented against me.
But check this out. She didn't cry out to man. She cried out to Ahia, her God. What would have happened if she would have cried out to men and begged for mercy? Yeah. She would have been condemned to death. But see, you put out your trust not in men, put out trust in the Most High. She went to the throne. Read.
Therefore, when she was led to be put to death, the Most High raised up the Holy Spirit of a young youth, whose name was Daniel, who cried with a loud voice, I am clear from the blood of this woman. Then all the people turned toward him and said, What mean these words that thou hast spoken? So he, standing in the midst of them, said, Are ye such fools, ye sons of Israel, that without examination or knowledge of the truth ye have condemned a daughter of Israel?
So is that righteous judgment? So this because the Most High said under the mouth, out of the mouth of two or three witnesses, every matter is established. That's true. But that's one thing about Scripture you must understand. That's why it's precept on precept. Because you take one Scripture and say, well, those are two witnesses, but they didn't execute righteous judgment. They didn't examine to see if it was true. Like with Solomon, remember when in Solomon's case, his first case,
The two ladies.
the two ladies with the babies, he examined the case. He didn't take my word and make it decision. He examined the case and tried it. And they didn't do that. Yes, brother.
Yeah, and then them two guys was in it on it together, so it was like the ones who told her that she was with the guy. They was already wrong, so
But it's the elders also there.
yeah,
what I'm
it's that
saying?
one, but they was going off of these two guys' word.
But I'm saying the elders did not do the
Right.
investigation.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yes. Read.
Verse
But
49.
right, brother. I'm saying, but the elders did
Yeah,
not.
they didn't do their part
Yeah.
either.
Return again to the place of judgment, for they have borne false witness against her. Wherefore all the people turned again in haste. And the elder said unto him, Come, sit down among us, and show it us, seeing God hath given thee the honor of an elder. Then said Daniel unto them, Put these two aside, one far from another, and I will examine them. So, when they were put asunder one from another, he called one of them, and said unto him, O thou that art waxen old in wickedness, now thy sins which thou hast committed aforetime are come to light. For thou hast pronounced false judgment, and hast condemned the innocent, and hast let the guilty go free. Albeit, the highest said, The innocent and righteous shalt thou not slay. Now then, if thou hast seen her, tell me, under what tree sawest thou them companying together? Who answered, Under a mastic tree. And Daniel said, Very well, thou hast lied against thine own head, for even now the angel of God hath received the sentence of God to cut thee in two.
So who's speaking right now? The Holy Spirit. That's why Christ said, when you come into judgment, don't worry about what you are going to say. It will be granted to you. And you see a lot of times, even for example, with the 7 sons and the mother, you know, when they spoke out in judgment, it was them speaking, but it was the Holy Spirit that was speaking through them. Pronouncing judgment on these men. Because he don't know.
Right.
He wasn't there. But you can't hide from his angels.
Right.
You can't hide from the Most High. So when she cried out, when Susanna cried out to the Most High, the Bible said, it says, verse 44, and the higher heard her voice. And then it says, therefore, when it says, therefore, when she was led to be put to death, a higher raised up the Holy Spirit of the young youth.
God.
See what I'm saying? Go save my daughter.
God.
See? Read.
Verse 56. So he put him aside, and commanded to bring the other, and said unto him, O thou seed of Canaan, and not of Judah, beauty hath deceived thee, and lust hath perverted thine heart. Thus had ye dealt with the daughters of Israel, and they for fear companied with you, but the daughter of Judah would not abide your wickedness. Now therefore tell me, under what tree didst thou take them companying together? Who answered, Under a home tree. Then said Daniel unto him, Well, thou hast also lied against thine own head, for the angel of God waiteth with the sword to cut thee in two, that he may destroy you. With that all the assembly cried out with a loud voice, and praised the Most High, who saveth them that trust in him.
And let that be for a memorial. The Most High highest saveth those who trust in him. No matter how bleak the situation may appear, he saveth those that trust in him. This woman was condemned to death, judged to be stoned. But the highest saved out of the hands of these wicked men. Read.
And they arose against the two elders, for Daniel had convicted them of false witness by their own mouths. And according to the law of Moses, they did unto them in such sort as they maliciously intended to do to their neighbor, and they put them to death. Thus the innocent blood was saved the same day. Therefore Chelcias and his wife praised the higher for their daughter Susanna, with Joachim her husband, and all the kindred, because there was no dishonesty found in her. From that day forth was Daniel had in great reputation in the sight of the people.
Okay. Praise to the Most High. So a great example of that is because it's the mouth of two witnesses don't make it true. We are to examine the truth. We are to examine the facts, weigh it in the balance. Because Johnny and Paul said something, don't make it true. Okay? Yes. And that was one of Israel's major problems. They did not execute righteous judgment. That said, the land was full of innocent blood. Because these elders and these judges was taking bribes and being perverted in their judgments. Next precept.
Of Exodus chapter 23. Put not thy hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness.
See, put not thy hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness. See, that's what they did. Hand joined hand to commit iniquity, even death. Read.
Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment. Neither shalt thou countenance a poor man in his cause. If thou meet thine enemy's ox or his ass going astray, thou shalt surely bring it back to him again.
So just because someone is poor don't mean that we're supposed to show respect to the person. And they don't get in there, get a little farther. It's because someone is rich don't mean we're supposed to show them respect to the person. It's what the facts are in the sight of the Most High. That's why in all things we must do them in respect in the sight of the Most High, knowing that the Most High sees us. Okay? Read.
If thou see the ass of him that hateth thee lying under his burden, and wouldest forbear to help him, thou shalt surely help with him.
Now, what that's saying? Let's patch our day. We don't have no asses and no ox. Okay? But if you see someone that you don't like, right?
Need help.
They need help. Christ says, what? Help them. Read.
Verse 6, thou shalt not wrest the judgment of thy poor in his cause. Keep thee far from a false matter, and the innocent and righteous slay thou not, for I will not justify the wicked. And thou shalt take no gift, for the gift blindeth the wise, and perverteth the words of the righteous.
See? And that's what goes on in Edom's kingdom. Right? They accept gifts from lobbyists and and all kinds of and from the rich. And the judgment is perverted. That's why it says that the earth been given to the hand of the wicked. The judges have been blinded. Read.
Also, thou shalt not oppress a stranger, for ye know the heart of a stranger, seeing ye were strangers in the land of Egypt.
This as a put some emphasis on that to those who may know that they're Israelites, and as many Israelites groups, we are not one of those who hate the white man, nor preach that type of message. Because many people who have come into an understanding of who we are don't mean that we are the same. We are of the same doctrine, okay, nor serve the same God. But many people that I've come across believe that in Christ's kingdom, the Israelites who should rule with Christ will be torturing, paying back the white man and the African man and the Asian man for what they have done to us throughout generations. But the law says we are not to do that. See? Because we know how it is to this day to be a stranger in a strange land. How we're getting treated right now is what the Most High said. Remember how you are being treated right now. Tell them, remember how they got treated when they was in Egypt. Now we're in spiritual Egypt. Even Solomon more the Great. You can call it America if you want to. But his people are here protesting for a reason. Because they've been treated like strangers, less than human. So we are not to treat anyone ill. Okay? Nor in our kingdom, because those who make it in our kingdom that are of the Gentiles will be righteous and called by the name of God, the higher. Okay? So there'll be his people, there'll be our family. Even though there'll be our servants and handmaids, they will still be our brothers and sisters in a righteous kingdom. And there'll be nothing that defileth in Christ's kingdom. There'll be no unrighteousness in our kingdom. With those who did not make it to the kingdom, that's what judgment is for. Which starts with Israel first. So whoever did not do God's laws and follow his course and treated his children illfully or wrongfully, will be punished by the angels of no mercy that the Most High created for the day of judgment and for the punishment of the fallen angels and all those who want to follow them. So they will be getting there and are getting their just due right now and will get it on the day of judgment. So therefore, there will be no need for those who make it over into the new world to be punishing anyone. Okay? So let's just pray that we make it. And stop worrying about how we're going to repay someone. Because if you have that mentality, the angels are going to repay you. Right?
Verse 10. In 6 years thou shalt sow thy land, and shalt gather in the fruit thereof. But the 7th year thou shalt let it rest and lie still, that the poor of thy people may eat, and what they leave the beasts of the field may eat. In like manner thou shalt deal with thy own vineyard, with thy vineyard, and with thy olive yard.
See, God is God of love, providing for all, the strangers, even the beasts. See? That 7th year, that Jubilee year, it's for the stranger, it's for the poor, it's for the beasts. He has blessed us, our forefathers, with enough to preserve them throughout this 7th year. So therefore, he can give the 7 years yield to the beast, to the stranger, to the poor. Okay? And this is what this grows naturally. But the Most High is causing it to grow, to provide for all. Read.
6 days shalt thou do thy work, and on the 7th day thine shall rest, that thine ox and thine ass may rest, and the son of thy handmaid and the stranger may be refreshed.
See that? So when it says this is talking about the 7th day, the Sabbath, excuse me. It's not talking about on the Sabbath you just stay home and lay in the bed and not come to church. Okay? But the premise of it is it's the Most High's day. It's the day that he rested, refreshed himself. So he knows that he put his children in captivity and in servitude. And it's a blessing to have rest from hard labor. So that means that we are not to work if possible. If we're not mandated to work on the Sabbath, we are not to pick it up or work on the Sabbath because the body needs rest, the mind needs rest. This is also the day that we are supposed to come together and get spiritually fed, edified. So don't mean he says rest, it's a holy convocation. That means a gathering where there's people reading out of his law. It's still that, but he's talking about working, not coming to church. Right?
In all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect, and make no mention of the name of other gods, neither let it be heard out of thy mouth.
Be diligent in all things that he spake or spoke. Okay? Read.
3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days.
I'm sorry, I missed something. When it says, make no mention of the names of other gods. So again, the Most High is acknowledging that there's other gods. There's other gods being worshipped. Okay? So are names important? Yes, it is, according to the Most High. Okay? It says, neither let it be heard out of thy mouth. So not only are we supposed to go astray or when it's talking about praising other gods, serving other gods, which today would be called other religions. Okay? Outside of keeping the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments, his judgments, ordinances. So we ascribe to the Most High, a higher name he gave Moses. And our King and Lord and Savior is Yahshua. Okay? Christ's Hebrew name. Read.
3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days.
So see here, the Passover and unleavened bread are synonymous. Okay? This is the big 3. Passover / unleavened bread, the Feast of Weeks or first fruits of Pentecost, and Feast of Tabernacles. These are what I call the big three. I'm not saying we're going to do all the other holy days, but these are the three specifically. The Most High said all the men have to come to Jerusalem. Okay? Read.
Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee, in the time appointed of the month Abib. For in it thou camest out from Egypt.
It's the reason the Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread is a remembrance of the Most High granting our foreparents salvation, releasing them from their hard bondage in which they was made to serve. All right? Making a covenant with his people, a contract with his people, teaching them how to properly serve him, worship him, by giving Moses the law. So he took us from an unclean, uncircumcised nation, a pagan nation who served many false gods. He separated his people and he educated them on how to properly please him and serve him. Okay? He gave them release from the hard bondage of their slavery. So this holy day is remembrance of that, which is to be kept forever in all our dwellings. Read.
In the time appointed of the month Abib, for in it thou camest out of Egypt, out from Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty. And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering.
So we come to the feast of weeks, or the first fruits. This is showing the Most High who if you really trust him or not, do you really rely on him or not, by giving him your first and your best. Give him your first and your best, and saying, this is my best whom I have received from you. Because he promises if we did that, then we'll be blessed and our storehouses will be filled. But we had to hold back the Most High, meaning that we're trying to keep something for ourselves. Like we're showing the Most High that we don't rely on him, we don't trust in him. So we're gonna try to save some for ourselves and give him what we want to give him. When all in all, we got everything from him. So we're showing that humble, contrite spirit and that love and respect and fear of the Most High. I said, I'm giving you what you gave me, and I'm relying on you to give me more than I can even care for. And that's the same thing when it comes to like now giving offerings, that kind of stuff. You know, we're giving the Most High what he asked for because it's his, and relying on him that it's him that provides for his creatures, for his creations. Okay? Knowing that if we are sincerely writing in our hearts that he will provide for us. But if we are not, he knows it. Okay?
In the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year.
Which is the feast of ingathering, is the feast of tabernacles, which he commanded us to dwell in booths, tents, to remind us that he protected us from 40 years in the wilderness, in the deserts, from men, beasts, fowls, creepy things, everything. Nothing wax old on our clothing or our sandals. Nothing wax old. He thoroughly provided for us. Not only that, he led us by a cloud at night. I mean, by a fire by night to give us warmth in the cold desert, because the desert, you know, is get cold at night. But to give us light, to guide us, and also warmth. In the daytime, he gave us a cloud. You know, in the desert, it gets hot, especially when ain't no shade. So he gave us shade and also guided us in the way in which we should walk. Okay? Also showing that the Most High does love his people. He does protect and provide for his people. Okay? Because he could have us out. Even though we had shade, we would still remember it. Imagine how we'd be if it was, you know, if the cloud was not there. But it's showing that the Most High will always be with his people. He said he would save his people. So, and also that ingathering, that's the last for the year. Yep, that's the ingathering.
I wrote that down.
Yep. Yeah. So again, we're relying on the Most High to bless us. Okay. Read.
3 times in the year all thy males shall appear before Ahiah. Thou shalt not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leavened bread, neither shall the fat of my sacrifice remain until the morning. The first of the first fruits of thy land thou shalt bring into the house of the Most High. Thou shalt not seethe a kid in his mother's milk.
That means you are not to kill a baby goat, okay, who ain't reached a year old. Okay.
The first of the first fruits of thy land thou shalt bring into the house of Ahiah thy God. Thou shalt not see the kid in his mother's milk. Behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way, and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice.
So he sent an angel before our people. That's how he protected us angelically. Nothing harmed us until we disobeyed. Then the Most High destroyed us. Read.
Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions. For my name is in him. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice, and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies, and an adversary unto thine adversaries.
He says his name is in him. This angel would not turn to the Most High. He feared and loved the Most High. The question is the Most High name in us? This angel would not go apart from the Most High. He would not pardon your transgressions. You could not bribe him. He would not show you favor if you transgress against the Most High. So it's showing the obedience of the angels. The Most High name must be in us. So that'll mean, that's what people don't understand when it says no about his name, you call him his name. Are you obedient? That's what the Most High is stressing. This angel would not transgress me. He would not transgress my law. Nothing you can do to change judgment. I sent him to protect you. If you disobey, he will destroy you. Okay? Read.
For mine angel shall go before thee, and bring thee in unto the Amorites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Canaanites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, and I will cut them off. Thou shalt not bow down to their gods, nor serve them.
Who will cut them off?
The Most High.
The Israelites or the Most High?
Most High.
So although we fought in wars, who was actually doing the fighting? The Most High sent his power and spirit to the angels, and they fought in us, with us, for us. That's why the mighty man, one man is destroying, is killing 800 men, which is impossible without the Most High spirit. You know? Yes, read.
Thou shalt not bow down to their gods, nor serve them.
So when you get amongst these people, we are not to do the things that they do. Because the customs of the Gentiles are vain. Their gods are vanity. They're vain. They're idols. They're fallen angels. They're not the Most High. So hear on these people. Don't be influenced by them. And do what they do. Worship how they worship. Do their holidays. Don't do nothing, like he says, don't do nothing that they do. Read.
Nor do after their works.
See?
But thou shalt utterly overthrow them, and quite break down their images.
And we can't break down the images now because we in their kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
But you see how it all ties into worship? Destroy their gods. If their gods was, he said that the Gentiles' gods are idols, right? If their gods were real, how would you be able to destroy them? But these nations will kill you for destroying their gods. You see? Read.
And ye shall serve Ahiah your God. He shall bless thy bread and thy water. And I will take sickness away from the midst of thee.
See, that's where we understand that sicknesses, diseases are because of sin. It's a curse. Like people don't understand. The Most High promised us if we was righteous, we would have no sicknesses. Diseases, illnesses is demonic possession. Okay? All these diagnoses they telling us that we have, they're lies. It's demonic possession. Okay? Most High said that we be righteous when we take sicknesses away. We won't have no sicknesses if we fear Him and serve Him. If we don't, what will we have? Sicknesses. All of them. Read.
There shall nothing cast their young, nor be barren in thy land. The number of thy days I will fulfill.
See, bearing is also part of the curse of disobedience. Miscarrying is part of the curse. That all came with sin and disobedience, people. He promised us it was obedience that would not occur in Israel. Read.
I will send my fear before thee, and will destroy all the people to whom thou shalt come, and I will make all thine enemies turn their backs unto thee.
You know, and this something just came to my mind. I was talking to one of my brothers earlier today about death, and this is hone in on this for a second. Death is a sign. Yeah, it's a curse. It's an enemy. All that it hurts, but it's also a sign. The sign that disobedience entered into the world, so death came. Okay. So all these other things are signs. Sicknesses are signs that the Most High words are true. He promised these things will happen. Miscarriages, a woman not having the ability to bring forth a child, is a curse. These are signs that the Most High actually really do exist.
Right.
And what He said is faithful and true. He says all His works all His judgments are righteous. Because just as He promised us the good, He promised us the bad. So it's righteous for Him to keep His word. Whether it's the good or the bad that's occurring. But these are signs to bring us into obedience. Because also He promised us at the end of this thing, judgment. The lake of fire. The second death. This as we're getting diseases, that's coming too. So again, when we see these signs, we see the rainbow. That's what these signs are informing us about. When you see a rainbow, is this not a covenant with Noah? No, it's a sign to remember the days of Noah. He judged the world, destroyed it. Billions of people were destroyed for disobedience. So when we see a rainbow, it's a sign to get your life together. Judgment is coming. This time.